My fiancée rolled her eyes. You're overthinking everything. Then she cried when I told her the prenup was signed, the lawyer was mine, and the house wasn't hers. Suddenly, I wasn't overthinking enough. I'm Evan, 32 years old, male. And if I sound a little shaky right now, it's because I'm still running on adrenaline and rage. I just walked out of what should have been a quiet dinner with my fiancée, Claire, 29 years old, female, and instead it turned into the night where the last 2 years of my life cracked open. Claire has always been dismissive, that's the word. Dismissive in this small, sharp way that makes you feel crazy for even noticing. Like when I'd ask about finances and she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're overthinking everything, Evan." Or when I'd bring up the idea of a prenup, not because I was hiding millions in a Swiss account, but because I worked my ass off for the house we live in, the one I bought before she even moved her first box of clothes in, and she'd sigh like I was dragging her into some boring math lecture. For context, I'm in construction management. I started as a guy hauling lumber at 19, worked my way through night classes, and by 28, I bought my own house, a modest two-story in the suburbs with a workshop out back. That house is mine. Blood, sweat, concrete, under my fingernails, mine. Claire moved in 2 years ago when things got serious. She never offered rent, never chipped in for property tax, but she sure liked to remind people we had a house. The first time I brought up the prenup, she laughed. Not like a nervous laugh. It was sharp, dismissive. What, you think I'm after your empire? Please, stop overthinking. That became her refrain. Anytime I pressed, I was paranoid, controlling, cold. So I let it slide because I loved her. I let it slide while she picked out furniture with my card. I let it slide while she planned a wedding I knew I'd be paying 80% of. I let it slide every damn time she dismissed me. But I didn't actually let it slide. Quietly, I got a lawyer. My lawyer, not some mutual thing. Quietly, I drafted a prenup. The house, my workshop, my retirement account, all protected. Claire could keep what she brought in, and I wouldn't touch it. Fair, reasonable, the kind of thing adults do. I signed it 2 weeks ago. She didn't know. Tonight, I told her. We were sitting at the table, half a bottle of wine between us. I said, "The prenup's signed. The lawyer is mine, and the house stays mine." She blinked, slow at first like she didn't process it. Then her face cracked. Tears. Real tears, but they weren't grief. They were rage disguised as heartbreak. She gasped, "Evan, how could you? After everything, we're supposed to be a team." Her hand trembled on her glass, and for a second I thought she was going to throw it, and all I could think as she cried and choked out, "You don't trust me," was, finally. Finally, I'm not overthinking enough. Because if she really loved me, if she really just wanted me, why would signing a paper make her break? That was the moment I realized the storm was coming. I didn't sleep that night. Claire stormed upstairs after her crying jag at the table, slamming the bedroom door so hard a picture frame fell off the hallway wall. I stayed downstairs, staring at the prenup copy in my hands, wondering how the hell I'd gotten here. I thought about every moment she'd brushed me off, every little "you're overthinking" smirk, and how I'd swallowed it because I wanted peace. But the house felt different now, heavy, like I was living with a stranger who had her claws half buried in my life. The next morning, Claire came down in silence, mascara still smeared, and dropped her empty coffee mug in the sink hard enough to chip it. "So that's it? You don't trust me. You've already decided I'm some kind of leech." Her voice cracked, but her eyes were hard. I tried to keep calm. "It's not about trust. It's about protecting what I built before you. It's fair." She laughed, short, sharp. "Fair? You think making me sign some legal document before we're even married is fair? You're planning for the end before the beginning even starts." That stung, but I stood my ground. "If you loved me, the paper wouldn't matter." That's when she exploded. She swept her hand across the counter, sending the salt shaker, the sugar jar, and the mail pile crashing to the floor. "You think you're so noble? You think you're protecting yourself? What about me, Evan? What about what I've given up?" I blinked. "What have you given up?" She launched into it. How she moved into my house instead of picking out a new place together. How she put her career on pause to help plan our wedding. How she invested herself fully. She framed it like she'd sacrificed everything, And suddenly, I was the villain. I said quietly, "You still work your job, Claire. You still have your apartment lease in your name. You never even gave it up." That one landed. Her face twisted. She hated that I remembered. I started seeing it then. Her sacrifices were just moving in her stuff, taking more of my space, living lighter because I was paying heavier. Later that week, things escalated. I came home from work and found the living room torn apart. Drawers dumped, couch cushions slashed with scissors. Claire was sitting in the middle of it all, shaking, muttering, "You don't trust me, so why should I care about your things?" I froze in the doorway. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was destruction. When she noticed me, she stood up fast. "If you're going to treat me like some gold digger, then fine. I'll act like one." She kicked the coffee table over, glass shattering across the rug. My heart pounded, and all I could think was, this isn't someone who's sad about love. This is someone who's furious about losing leverage. That night, as I swept up broken glass in silence, I knew one thing for sure. Claire wasn't done. She was going to escalate. And the prenup wasn't just a document anymore. It was a fuse. Don't forget to subscribe. By the end of that week, the house didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like I was squatting in a war zone I owned. Every room carried evidence of Claire's anger. Kitchen cabinet doors left hanging open, a pile of my clean laundry dumped into the bathtub, the framed photo of us from our first vacation cracked down the middle. Not shattered, not thrown out, just cracked, like she wanted me to look at it and feel the fracture. The thing is, Claire has always been a performer. She doesn't just fight, she builds an audience. And that's when she brought in her sister, Marissa, 31 years old, female. I came home Friday night dead tired, and Marissa was sitting at my dining table, arms crossed like a lawyer waiting to cross-examine me. Claire was beside her, red-eyed but not crying anymore. More like smirking. "Evan?" Marissa started, her voice dripping with the kind of calm that's really just rage polished over. "Do you understand what you've done to my sister?" I glanced at Claire, then back. "This is between me and Claire, not you." But Claire jumped in. "See? He won't even own it. He thinks I'm some kind of parasite. He made me sign a prenup, Marissa. Can you believe that?" Marissa gasped like I'd announced I was joining a cult. "After everything she's done for you?" I bit back a laugh. "What exactly has she done for me?" That broke the dam. They tag-teamed me for an hour. Every little thing Claire ever did, from making dinner a few nights a week to keeping the house warm and welcoming, translation, filling it with her Amazon hauls, was suddenly presented as evidence of sacrifice. When I said calmly that she still had her apartment downtown, Marissa cut me off with, "She kept that place for emergencies because she knew you were capable of this kind of betrayal." I swear my vision went white-hot. They were rewriting reality in front of me, and I was the villain. When I refused to back down, Claire's mask cracked. She started sobbing again, full body heaving, then ran upstairs. Marissa gave me this look, pure venom, and hissed, "You don't deserve her. You'll regret this." Then she followed her sister up. I thought that was the end of it. But the next morning I walked out to my truck to head to work and found both my tires slashed on the driver's side. A note under the windshield wiper scrawled in Claire's handwriting. "Overthinking now?" My stomach dropped. This wasn't symbolic anymore. This was money, time, safety, real-world consequences. I called a buddy from work to come tow me to a shop. While waiting, I snapped a photo of the note and sent it to Claire with no caption. 10 minutes later, she called, voice syrupy sweet. "Why are you blaming me? Maybe one of your construction buddies has it out for you. You're paranoid, Evan. You always overthink." That word again. Always that damn word. As I stood in the driveway staring at my crippled truck, broom still in my hand from sweeping glass out of the garage, I realized I was past the point of arguments. Claire wasn't going to stop. She was going to drag this out, escalate it, twist it. And if I didn't get ahead of her, she'd burn my whole life down to prove a point. And a dark, calm thought settled in me. Maybe it was time to stop being reactive. Maybe it was time to start planning my own move. The slashed tires should have been my wake-up call, but honestly, it was only the opening act. Claire wasn't the type to quietly retreat. She thrived on spectacle. And when she couldn't control me in private, she started building her audience in public. It started small. A mutual friend, Jenna, invited us to her birthday dinner at a local steakhouse. I wasn't keen, but Claire insisted. We can show everyone we're fine, she said, squeezing my hand with that fake bright smile that never reached her eyes. I should have known better. We got there and she was glued to Marissa, whispering, both of them giving me side-eye all night. I tried to stay out of it, talked with some coworkers who happened to be there. Then, mid-meal, Claire suddenly raised her voice so the whole table went quiet. Evan doesn't trust me, she announced, fork clinking against her wine glass. Imagine planning a wedding with a man who thinks you're only with him for his house. The air froze. Half the table looked at me, half at their plates. I wanted to melt into the floor, but instead I said evenly, "It's called a prenup. It's standard. Protects both of us." Claire's eyes filled with tears instantly. Academy Award level. Protects you mean? I gave up everything for this relationship and now he's dangling a contract over my head like I'm some con artist. She buried her face in Marissa's shoulder, who was glaring at me like I'd just admitted to beating puppies for fun. The whispers started immediately. People shifting in their chairs, pity glances at her, judgment at me. I could feel the room tilting against me, and Claire knew it. She thrived in it. So I stood up, tossed my napkin on the plate, and said, "Thanks for making this a public show. I'll leave you to your performance." Then I walked out. I expected silence after that, maybe sulking. What I didn't expect was the fallout. The next morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Texts from Jenna, from friends, even from my aunt, all variations of, "Why are you treating Claire like this?" Turns out, Claire and Marissa had gone on a social media blitz right after dinner. Claire posted a selfie of her crying in Marissa's car, captioned, "When the man you love only sees you as a threat to his bank account, hashtag betrayal, heartbroken fiancé." Hundreds of likes, dozens of comments, people tagging me, demanding answers. But the kicker? She posted a photo of my house, our front porch specifically, with the caption, "Funny how four walls mean more to him than I do." That hit me like a punch to the gut. My house wasn't just a building. It was everything I'd bled for since I was 19. To see it weaponized as a prop in her pity campaign made my chest tighten with pure fury. That night, as I sat in the dark workshop out back, scrolling through her posts, a plan started to form. I couldn't match her tears, her theatrics. But I could do something she couldn't. I could wait. I could document. I could set the stage so when I finally moved, there would be no room for doubt about who she really was. And in that quiet, with the smell of sawdust still lingering, I made myself a promise. I was done being her villain. Next time she tried to burn me down, I'd make damn sure she went up in the flames with me. Don't forget to subscribe. Update 1. Holy hell, you people are something else. I posted the last part because I needed to put it somewhere that wasn't the inside of my skull. And the response was fast. Texts, DMs, voice notes, people showing up at my door, calm down, not actual mobs, yet. A few threads I want to call out because they actually changed what I did next. First, Jenna, 30 years old, female, the friend whose birthday dinner turned into a tribunal. She's been texting nonstop, half apology, half damage control. She said she didn't know Claire was going to perform and that she felt awful people were dragged into it. Jenna told me later she'd seen the slashed tires post and almost called the cops, but Claire spun it so convincingly that she convinced our mutual friends I was the paranoid one. Jenna's a good person. Her voice matters in the group, and she's quietly started to back me up in private. That saved me from total social exile and was the first practical win. Best worst comment highlight reel, because you asked for it and I laughed, cried, or raged at different ones. Burn the house down. Looked tempting on a very bad Tuesday. Don't worry, I'm not arsonist Evan, yet. Thanks for the impulses, though. Lock her out, change the locks, toss her stuff. A surprising number of you had a do the simple legal things first vibe, and that's exactly what I did immediately after reading you. Lock change, bank freezes, vendor cancellations where I had authority, practical, cold, and useful. You're gaslighting her. A bunch of folks called that. Ouch. I had to sit with that because part of me worried I'd misread the months of subtle dismissals and bought into my own paranoia. So I dug through texts, receipts, lease records. That's when the pattern showed up clean as day. Not paranoia. Pattern. DMs were wild. One random lawyer in Ohio sent a 2-paragraph primer on documenting harassment and implied threats. Seriously helpful. A woman said, "My ex did this and I ended up losing everything. Don't let her rewrite the story." A few people accused me of being petty and suggested couples therapy. I considered therapy, still am, but Claire wasn't interested in repairing anything. She was interested in winning, in performing the victim until the world believed her. Important. People asked if I'd filed a police report for the tires or the smashed coffee table. I had. I handed the officer a photo of the note, a copy of the prenup email thread, time-stamped, and the receipts for repair. The report is on file. Documentation matters, y'all. That's rule 1. Finally, about revenge. I'm not doing revenge that's sloppy or childish. No petty revenge porn, no illegal sabotage. What I am doing is building a case and a story that can't be gaslit away. I've been quietly copying texts, saving screenshots of her posts, compiling a timeline of incidents, tire slashing, slashed couch cushions, public humiliation at Jenna's dinner. I've also quietly re-securitized the house finances so there's zero public leverage for her pity campaigns. That's the boring part. The satisfying part? There's a plan to force her performance into daylight where evidence matters more than tears. And that plan starts with one public, unavoidable truth she cannot cry her way out of. When I finally decided I wasn't going to let Claire keep spinning her victim script unchecked, I knew it had to be a move she couldn't wriggle out of with tears or gaslighting. I had the receipts, the police report, and the prenup locked down. But she was still out there, staging pity parties with our friends, posting cryptic Instagram captions like, "Some people only love control, not you," trying to bait sympathy. So I leaned into what she loved most, an audience. Jenna invited me to her game night as a kind of olive branch, promising Claire wouldn't be there. I showed up, calm, holding a manila folder under my arm. Everyone was already sipping wine and cracking jokes. I waited until the inevitable question came. "So, what's really going on between you two?" Claire wasn't there, but her ghost was heavy in the room. That's when I pulled out the printouts. Screenshots of her slashing tire brag texts to a friend, her drunk rant about winning the house, the actual police report with her name on it. I laid them on the table one by one like cards in poker, watching the laughter drain from the room. Nobody said anything for a solid minute. Then Jenna whispered, "Holy shit." And I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "She's been telling you I'm paranoid. This is what paranoia looks like? No, this is what evidence looks like." By the time I left, half of them had texted me privately, apologizing for not seeing it sooner. The tide turned that night. Her crocodile tears couldn't swim against paper trails. When Claire found out what I'd done, she lost it. Not privately either. She showed up at my driveway at 2 a.m., mascara streaked, barefoot, screaming about betrayal. She banged on the door, hurled one of my potted plants against the siding until it shattered, then sat on the hood of my car sobbing until the cops came. And you know what? I didn't even have to raise a hand. The officer who'd taken my original report recognized her immediately. She tried the waterworks, saying I provoked her by embarrassing her. The cop just shook his head and said, "Ma'am, you need to leave before this escalates further." She did, but not before scratching her own name into my mailbox with her keys, one final act of graffiti on her way out. And in that insane moment, it clicked. She thought chaos itself was power. But chaos with a paper trail? That's self-destruction. That was the night I realized revenge didn't have to be loud. Revenge could be cold, meticulous, and public, like putting up a mirror so the whole world could see her unravel. And that was just the opening act. The night Claire carved her name into my damn mailbox, I thought I'd hit the peak of her chaos. I was wrong. That was just her testing how far she could go without handcuffs. A week later, I came home from work to find the front door wide open. My gut dropped. I bolted inside, heart pounding, and the place looked like a hurricane had passed through. Drawers yanked open, closets dumped, half the pantry on the floor. And there she was, Claire, standing in the middle of the living room holding one of my work boots like it was evidence. "You locked me out, Evan," she shrieked, throwing the boot at the wall so hard it left a dent. "This is my home too." I froze at the doorway. "No, Claire. It's mine. It's always been mine." Her face twisted. She lunged at the coffee table, sweeping everything off in one violent arc. My laptop hit the ground with a crack. She wasn't even crying this time. She was wild-eyed, spitting rage. I backed up toward the door, phone in my hand. I'm calling the cops. She laughed, this hysterical, unhinged laugh. Go ahead. I'll tell them you hit me. Who do you think they'll believe? Me crying or you with your little contract? My stomach sank. That was the real threat. Not just smashing my stuff, but weaponizing her tears against me. But I didn't call, not yet. Instead, I did what I promised myself I'd do, document. I held the phone up and started recording. Keep going, Claire, I said, my voice shaking. Show me who you are. And oh, she did. She grabbed a framed photo of us from the shelf, the one from our first trip together, and smashed it against the fireplace. She hurled the pieces at my feet like shards of proof. Then she stormed out the door screaming, I'll ruin you, Evan. You'll regret this. I stood in the wreckage, recording still rolling, and something in me snapped. I wasn't scared anymore. I was done. Done letting her dictate the story. That night, I sent the video straight to Jenna, then to Marissa, just to twist the knife. I didn't add commentary, just thought you should see for yourself. By the next morning, the fallout had already started. Friends who'd been silent were suddenly messaging me apologies. Even Marissa sent a half-hearted, I didn't realize things were this bad. But the sweetest moment came 3 days later. Claire posted another sob selfie, mascara running, captioned, hard to heal when you're living with a monster. And then Jenna, bless her, commented publicly with a time-stamped clip of Claire trashing my living room. No context, no hashtags, just the raw footage. The comments turned instantly, from stay strong girl to wait, what? To are you kidding me? Claire deleted her post within an hour, but the internet never forgets. Screenshots spread. Her pity narrative cracked wide open. That was my revenge. Not fire, not fists, just truth, delivered so cold she couldn't cry her way out of it. Still, I knew she wasn't finished. If she couldn't control the narrative online, she'd find another stage. And sure enough, she did. Update 2. First off, to everyone who said Claire would hang herself with her own rope, you were dead on. I barely had to lift a finger after Jenna posted that video. It spread faster than I could keep up with, from our mutuals to random people I didn't even know. Suddenly, I wasn't the paranoid fiancé with a trust issue. I was the guy who'd been quietly documenting a full-blown meltdown while she weaponized tears like napalm. Let me tell you, the comment sections were brutal. My favorites? She's auditioning for Lifetime, not living real life. Protect this man's house at all costs. She's giving feral raccoon energy. And the absolute chef's kiss. Someone clipped her screaming, I'll ruin you, and made a TikTok with dramatic opera music over it. 500,000 views. I'll admit, I laughed until I cried at that one. But here's the thing. The internet being on my side didn't magically make the mess disappear. It just forced Claire to switch tactics. A couple of you warned she might double down, and yeah, she did. Within days of the video spreading, she sent me this long, rambling email about how she was struggling with mental health, and that my decision to record her was a betrayal of intimacy. She painted herself as a fragile victim of my cold, legalistic mindset. Some of y'all told me to ignore, but one DM in particular hit me. A family law paralegal who said, do not respond to emotional bait. Keep your record clean. Forward every message to your lawyer. She's trying to build a paper trail of you being cruel or dismissive. That advice probably saved me from stepping in it. And yeah, my lawyer was impressed. He told me, most guys wait until it's too late. You've been preparing since before the engagement imploded. That prenup wasn't just smart, it's bulletproof. Hearing that gave me a clarity I didn't know I needed. A lot of people also asked about Marissa. Fun fact, she went silent. No more lectures, no more siding with her sister. I think seeing the video broke the spell. Word is, she even blocked Claire for a bit after their own screaming match. That was the cherry on top. So where does that leave me now? The locks are changed, police reports and video evidence are filed. Most of my friend circle has either rallied to my side or vanished, which honestly, good riddance. Claire's social media is a ghost town. She nuked her accounts after the TikTok memes wouldn't stop. But I know her. Claire's not someone who fades quietly. She's going to try one more grand gesture, one last performance. And the scariest part? I can feel it building. The air in this house is too still, like the pause before a storm rips through. Some of y'all said, make it sweet. Trust me, the dessert cart is on its way. It didn't take long for Claire's one more grand gesture to land. I should have known she'd wait until she could hurt me most. Not privately, not quietly, but in a way that left me exposed. It was a Saturday morning. I'd just finished coffee, getting ready to fix a sagging shelf in the workshop, when I heard engines outside. Not one, not two, a caravan. I stepped out to see Claire in the driveway with 3 cars full of people. Marissa, a couple of her friends I barely knew, even 2 of my co-workers she'd managed to rope into her pity campaign. And every single one of them had their phones out already recording. Claire stood in front like she was leading a parade, eyes wild, hair a mess, clutching a half-empty bottle of rosé at 10 a.m. You think you can humiliate me, Evan? You think you can hide behind your little papers and your lawyer? Her voice cracked, but it was fury, not heartbreak. You're the abuser, you're the manipulator, and I'm done being quiet. Marissa looked uneasy, but she stayed behind her sister. Claire's friends, though, they egged her on, yelling things like, "Tell him, girl," and "We got your back." It felt like a staged intervention, except I was the accused monster in my own driveway. I pulled my phone out slowly, already recording. "Claire, you need to leave." That set her off. She lunged toward the house, trying to push past me, screaming, "This is my home too!" When I blocked her, she shoved me. Hard enough, I stumbled back into the steps. That's when she grabbed one of the porch planters and hurled it across the yard, soil spraying everywhere. Her friends kept filming. Some were gasping, but no one stepped in. They wanted the drama, the footage, the performance, and Claire delivered. She turned to the cameras, tears now streaking through her smeared makeup, and wailed, "See? He's locking me out. He's stealing everything from me. This is abuse." That word, abuse, hit me like a gut punch. Not because it was true, but because I knew how easily people believed it. My neighbors were already peeking out from across the street. This was her finale, her big stage play. Destroy me in front of witnesses. But here's the thing. She forgot one detail. The security cameras. Mounted on the workshop, on the porch, even one tucked near the garage. Every angle of her smashing, shoving, screaming, captured in crisp HD with timestamps. And my phone, held steady in my hand, recording her friends recording me. It was evidence stacked on evidence. I didn't yell, didn't shove back, just stood there, phone raised, saying, "Keep going, Claire, you're proving my case." When the cops finally rolled up, because of course the neighbors called, Claire turned on the waterworks full blast, rushing toward them like salvation. "He's locking me out, he's dangerous." The officer glanced at me, then at the cameras overhead, still blinking red. His partner asked, "Sir, you got footage?" I nodded. Every second of it. And that was the shift. For the first time, Claire realized she wasn't holding the script anymore. The cops separated us, got statements, but I could see it in her eyes, panic. She'd gone too far. As they led her back toward Marissa's car, she twisted around and screamed at me, "You'll regret this, Evan. I'll make sure everyone knows what you really are." But the truth was already out there. And this time, it wasn't just whispers at a dinner table or posts online. It was on record. It was evidence. As the cars pulled away, my yard a wreck of broken pottery and trampled flowers, I felt something I hadn't in months: calm. Because for once, I wasn't reacting to Claire's chaos. I was letting her destroy herself, one performance at a time. When the squad cars pulled away that day, Claire screaming out the window like some deranged soap opera villain, I knew the story wasn't over. Not yet. People like Claire don't just vanish when the spotlight turns ugly. They double down, try to rewrite the script until someone buys it. But this time, she'd underestimated how much rope she'd given me. The cops filed their report. My lawyer filed everything else. Security footage, screenshots, her messages, the voicemail where she drunkenly slurred about winning the house. It was airtight. I didn't just have a prenup anymore. I had a paper trail that painted the full picture. The final crack came 2 weeks later. Claire showed up in court trying to petition for residency rights to my house, swearing she'd been living there as a dependent partner. She wore all black, clutching tissues, eyes red like she'd practiced sobbing in the mirror. For a moment, I'll admit I worried. Judges have fallen for less, but then my lawyer pressed play. Clip after clip of her destruction. The slashed tires note. The porch meltdown with her shoving me and screaming abuse while she hurled planters across the yard. The smashed living room, time-stamped the same night she'd told friends online I'd locked her out. Silence. You could have heard a pin drop in that courtroom. When the judge finally spoke, her voice was cold steel. Ms. Reynolds, not only do you have no legal claim to this property, but your conduct raises serious concerns about harassment and malicious mischief. I strongly advise you to cease contact with Mr. Carter immediately, or further legal remedies will be pursued. Claire's face crumbled. Not a single tear left in her arsenal could shift the weight of the evidence. For the first time since this nightmare began, she wasn't the victim in the room. She was the spectacle. Afterward, as I walked out of the courthouse, Marissa caught up to me. She looked smaller somehow, eyes hollow. "I didn't know it was that bad," she whispered. "I thought you were just controlling." I didn't gloat, didn't spit venom back. I just said, "You saw what you wanted to see. Now you've seen the truth." And I kept walking. That night, I sat in the workshop, the one space she never touched, surrounded by the smell of cedar and oil, and felt the silence settle around me. Not the heavy silence of tension, but real peace. Claire's social media accounts vanished a few days later. Mutual friends told me she moved back into her old apartment quietly, no fanfare. The pity audience had dried up. No one was buying tickets to her show anymore. As for me, I fixed the dent in the wall, replaced the smashed photo frame with one of me and my crew on a job site, muddy and grinning. It felt right. That's who I really am. Not the villain she tried to paint, not the paranoid fiancé she mocked, but a man who built something real and refused to let someone burn it down. And the sweetest revenge wasn't the court ruling, or the cops, or even the TikToks with opera music over her meltdowns. It was knowing she'd spend the rest of her life haunted by the one thing she could never outcry, outspin, or outpost: the truth. Because I didn't destroy Claire. I just stopped protecting her from herself.